This is a movie that James Cameron has been trying to get made for literally over 15 years. And it's here now. And the end result is, yeah, it's okay. It's alright. Good thing you've spent that 15 years and $200 million on this, because, you know, otherwise I don't think we really could have gotten it. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
And I thought the guys behind Kingdom Hearts were bad.
What?
Because they take so long to make video games.
Oh, okay, alright. It's relevant.
Yay!
That's not the thing that Kingdom Hearts is known for being bad at. That's another discussion. We'll do a spoiler talk for that on the new channel, but that's... Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
This is our post-Geekout reaction for Alita Battle Angel. See, they flipped it around, so it's not the original. It's their own take on this thing. I'll go ahead and start by saying, even though I'm a big anime nerd, I've never seen or read Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, so... I know there's a lot of people out there who are fans of the original, and you're probably going to have your own unique views on this thing based on how well it matched up to the original and the source material. This ain't gonna be one of those reviews. We ain't gonna have any of that in here. So, you know, if you enjoy reviews that are not based in any references or facts or knowledge of the source material, you've come to the right place.
This is gonna be a very short review.
Yeah, honestly, it probably is. Because I hate movies like this, not because they're bad. This was not a bad film at all. But it's fine. It's okay.
It's just okay.
And, you know, in all honesty, it's not like there's some stuff in here that's amazing and then stuff that's really terrible. So it evens out to fine. It's like, no, everything's just kind of like, it's all right.
Everything is just okay.
Everything's okay. That song didn't go as well. Yeah, there is some stuff in here that's better than the other stuff in there. I'll give it that. Like the world,
but not by much.
The world that they built is pretty damn impressive. Like they give you this backstory on this world and how like, oh, after the fall, 300 years later, man is all living in this one city, but there's one sky city left up there in the clouds, and nobody's allowed to go up there. But that's where all the big, rich, fancy people live, and we all have to work down here in the slums. Like, okay, that's all right, I get that. Honestly, what this really reminded me of was, what was that movie that we saw not long ago about the cities that come to life and fight each other?
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I've totally forgotten what that is.
Like, shoot, I forget the name, but...
Mortal Engines.
Yes.
This really reminded me of Mortal Engines, except Mortal Engines, I kept looking at it, I was like, wait, what? Hold on, back up, what?
So, like,
that's really stupid. This, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, it's almost like if Mortal Engines actually made sense.
So, like, do the cities move around and fight each other?
No, the people do.
Okay.
Everybody in here is, like, cyborg people. And I gotta give them a lot of credit. Man, you can tell that James Cameron produced the hell out of this thing. He didn't direct it, but he produced it, which means it's going to look really nice. And when they are walking around this city here in the beginning, it's pretty damn cool just looking around and going, oh, look at that guy over there. Look at that guy over there. It really does feel alive.
Yeah, it's like whenever I saw the trailers, I didn't see the actual movie, he did.
Yeah.
But so anyway, whenever I saw the trailers, like it reminded me, like, I got like the same vibe as Ready Player One.
Oh,
visually wise. So.
Okay, interesting. I can get a little bit of that. To me, what it reminded me of was that one scene in Black Panther where you actually see, like, the streets of Wakanda. Not, like, the big throne room or anything, but you actually see them, like, walking around the streets, and you see, like, everybody there has, like, their own, like, unique vibe and clothes going to them, and they're all doing their own thing, and it all feels so alive. And one of my complaints about Black Panther was, I wanted more of that. Like, that felt really cool. You actually get a decent chunk of that in here, and I did really enjoy that part of it. I thought they actually did a really good job setting up this world, because I'm one of those guys who, when you throw me headfirst into a big fantasy world, I always kind of have to stop and go, wait, what? Hold on, back up now.
That's the thing. It's like, when it comes to, like, fantasy worlds, you have to, like, immerse the audience.
Yeah, and some people get more easily immersed than others. I'm more of a sci-fi than a fantasy guy, and I've always kind of said the definition is that sci-fi, you can kind of go, oh, so it's like this thing. Okay, it's that thing from this comes from this. Fantasy is more like, nope, just orcs and giants and tree people and all that crap thrown there.
Like, for me, like, the difference between, like, sci-fi and fantasy is, like, sci-fi, you can explain sort of how things... It's pseudoscience, so there's some sort of explanation behind it, but with fantasy, it's like, magic. Poof.
That's kind of, well, when it comes to the immersion of both, that's kind of what my definition is. Like science, I can look at, like science fiction, I can look at it and kind of go, okay, I can understand this because I've got at least some kind of a connection to it from something within reality. When it comes to fantasy, it's like, oh god, it's like, and then the Cormos people fought the quintuple people. I was like, I don't know what any of those words mean. Don't just say crazy stuff. Whereas with this, I was like, oh no, okay, I kind of get this stuff. Okay, cool. So I honestly think that they did a really solid job setting that up. And basically what this movie is about is that this Dr. Ito, he is really like the only doctor in this city who can do cybernetics for people. And he one day is just going through the big junk pile of stuff that gets thrown out of the last big floating city. Mm-hmm. And he finds this cybernetic person in there, and they're still alive. And so he attaches onto them this really sophisticated body that he had just sitting around, which there is an explanation for it, and I won't go into that, but actually it's kind of like a deep emotional reason for why he has this. It was like, okay, that's pretty good. Okay, enjoying that part there. That's not bad. And that's how he ends up creating Alita, and she has no memories of her past. So she's kind of serving as the avatar for the audience because she's getting everything explained to her that the audience needs explained to them. It's like, okay, that's actually a really good way of setting all this up and introducing your audience to it. And that's really kind of what I got from this film. It's a really fascinating world that they have in there. And Alita, she's nice. And there's some emotional stuff with the doctor in there. Okay, I'm enjoying that. And actually, Alita forms a relationship with this guy, and it's actually kind of sweet. Like, it doesn't blow me away, but I enjoyed it enough. Again, it made me think back to Mortal Engines, and how in Mortal Engines, it was just like, you two truly love each other. It's like, when did that happen? In this one, you watch it develop. You can see everybody kind of coming together. You see how they sort of match up with each other. It's, again, not this big, incredible thing, but it was enough to get me intrigued, to get me invested in them. I wanted to see them work everything out. And there's like a little twist in there with the guy she's forming the relationship with, and that makes it a lot more interesting. So, you know, it is really darn decent. I know that I sound kind of crazy putting it like that because you might be hearing this and saying, well, you've only been describing things you like about this. And everything you're describing sounds like a good movie in there. Why is it just okay? And honestly, I kept watching the film going, why do I think this is just okay? And it was around like the third act when they start focusing more on this sport called Murder Ball, in which whoever wins at Murder Ball ends up going up to the big shining city up there. And that ties into the love story that's going on between Alita and the guy she forms a relationship with. That I kept looking at that and going, oh, so I guess we're just on to this thing now. And that's when it hit me. There's really good stuff in here, but I don't feel like we get enough time with any of it. Which, considering that the movie's 2 hours long, it feels like we should have enough time with it. It just doesn't really feel like we get enough depth on everything for what is described here, for what is presented here. It felt like it all should have been explored a little bit more. And I was watching a review by someone who was a big fan of the actual source material. They were a fan of the manga. And they said, yeah, they tried to cram a bunch of different books into this one. And that's when it hit me. Oh, yeah, we probably tried to put too much into one movie. I mean, there is this mystery villain in here who they never really talk about. They never really tell us, like, who he is, or what he does, or what his purpose is. He's someone who is up on the big floating city, and he can basically kind of hijack anyone with cybernetics in them. So he just talks through other people. And he's just a very ominous mystery figure out there, but he's supposed to be like the real big bad guy. And he's kind of just presented like we all already know who this guy is, because they don't take the time to really introduce any bit of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's a fascinating villain, but I don't really get enough of him. And that's kind of what everything in this film is. It's really fascinating. And I can understand what you're presenting me with. Like, I didn't need someone to stop and tell me, like, oh, this is what the big villain is.
It's like, you didn't need more, but you wanted more.
I probably should have gotten more. I was able to understand this is a bad person. He can hijack other robots.
Like, you basically got the cliff notes of the
exactly.
from the manga.
I got, this is a bad person. Why? Well, he's hijacking people, and the people he's hijacking, the people that work for him, they do really nasty stuff. Yeah, but why does he need that, and why? And every now and then you get like a flashback of Alita's memories, and it has to do with her going after this guy. It's like, okay, cool. Why is she going after this guy? Why is this thing? Or with the Doctor. The Doctor, as I said, he's got a really tragic backstory for why he has this robot body just lying around. And you get little bits of that. And it's good what you get. But I feel like maybe we need to like stop and talk about that every now and again in here. Also, as for like the design of the world, it looks good. It looks really good. Except for when it kind of looks a little goofy. And
like, when does it look goofy?
Well, speaking about the Doctor, he is this thing called a hunter-warrior. And hunter-warriors are basically like bounty hunters in this world. And he describes how he went from being a peaceful doctor to being a hunter-warrior. But now you've got, God, what's that actor's name? I can't remember his name. But you've got him, this kindly old doctor fellow, running around with a jet-powered sickle. And yeah, you can't, in an anime, that looks really darn cool. An old man with a giant sickle, oh, that's awesome. You look at, this old, kindly, real human being carrying around like a jet-powered sickle. It's, okay, didn't quite translate like you were hoping there. Looks a little bit weird. But of course, the big instance of how it goes from, oh, this actually looks pretty good, to looking just flat out goofy, is Alita.
Yeah, the anime eyes.
The anime eyes make no goddamn sense at all. You can sweep it under the rug. You can, because everyone in this world has cybernetics. As I said, when you're looking around at the streets, you see everybody has like some kind of a robotic body part. There's one moment which they just stop to show some guy on the street corner with a guitar, and he's got like special robot arms that can like strum like two things at the same time. It looked awesome. That looked fantastic. But not a single other person in this entire film has the giant robot eyes. And I kept looking at that and having to tell myself over and over again, it's probably just a thing in this world that you haven't seen yet. That's why no one is questioning this thing. But you gotta kind of question it a little bit because no one else in this world has these things.
Like, I feel like it would like make more sense if her like anime eyes were actually like more robotic. If
they had like a little like, I don't know, going on inside,
yeah, it's like I was
camera
thinking
lens things going.
Battlefront Blockade with Leonardo watch his eyes, you know? Yes. Blood Battlefront Blockade, I think.
That's okay. Yes. Yeah, I know the anime. Yes, but I
like
mean,
if they had like his kind of eyes, I think it made it like would blend in better.
I think so too, because then they would stand out more. But they're going to stand out no matter what. And the way that they are now, they're standing out while trying to look like they fit into this world. And nah, man, they don't. I will say, like 90% of this film, I didn't really notice it because I was actually really immersed in this world. So it didn't really bother me. But then that other 10%, it was like a constant record scratch. And like I said, this film, it's getting okay reviews. Like people are like, it's fine, it's pretty good. I think those okay reviews would actually move up to good, a lot of them, if they just didn't have the goddamn eyes. Because, as I said, this is a really fascinating world, and you want to be immersed in this world. And that's something that does keep stopping you from being immersed in this world. Because you will be looking at her, and you won't really notice it, or it won't bother you at all. But then she will look at one certain angle and just say, ugh! No! Shame on you, movie! And it's so perplexing. It is so perplexing that got through, like, so many people. All just going, check, yep, I approve of this. That's going to work out great, boss. You got, like, there wasn't, like, one no man among the yes men in there to James Cameron just willing to tell him, do you think this is going to look, I don't know, jarring at any time? Was it like that meme in which it was like, we need to do this, blah, blah, what if we do this? Throw that person out the window. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yes. It was like, it's anime, so she needs to have anime eyes.
But that's... Man, I've heard people making that argument, and
but it's like if
you don't understand, in the anime, everyone has those eyes, so they fit in. But also, it makes her look CG.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
It makes her look CG when so many other people in here look totally natural, which, that's kind of a weird thing. A lot of the designs in here look awesome, but for the really super CGI guys, if they're not against pure CGI, like if they're standing next to real people, they stand out like a sore thumb. There is one really big hulking dude in there, and he's got a cool design. And when it's just like him and Alita fighting in a totally CGI world, it looks pretty darn good. When he's standing next to Dr. Ito or another human being, he looks really CGI. And Alita, even though it's an actual human being, because she's got CGI robot arms and legs, and because her eyes are so big and clearly CGI, it makes you feel like you're watching a CGI creature walking around at all times. But that, again, that would be okay if this was all CGI. But because she is also part human, it makes it all stand out so much. Like, there was a moment in which she is walking around in a totally CGI background, and all I could think was, every other robot in here that's completely CGI blend in perfectly in situations like this, but you can't help but stand out right now because I'm looking at like human forehead and human cheeks and human mouth in there just walking around in pure CGI. It's so weird. So yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I know a lot of people out there's like, it didn't bother me. It bothered me. So yeah, I had to get that out, and that honestly is another one of the reasons why this couldn't get up to good for me, because this world is really cool, and the relationships and the emotional stuff in here is pretty darn good. But as I said, they skim over a lot of stuff in here. And there's a lot of moments in here where it really kind of feels like they just wanted to put stuff in here from the source material because they were big fans of the source material, which I can understand that stuff. And for fans of the source material, that's probably going to blow your minds. But there are those moments where it kind of just sticks out to you. As someone who isn't a fan of this stuff, it sticks out to you that they're just like, hey, this is a thing from the source material. I was like, okay, that's nice, but could you have maybe smooth it out a little bit? Like, there was a moment in which the big robot guy gets into a fight with Alita, and he, like, opens up a floor in the ground, and he's like, come to my world, and they go down there. He's like, I was raised in this, and he's making this big speech, and all you think was, these are exact lines from the manga that he is saying right now, and people are losing their mind that he's saying the exact lines from the source material. But to me, someone who does not know the source material, I know that feeling when you are just quoting the source material, and it just takes me out of the movie when they're doing that. Or as I said, there comes the moment later on in which she just starts playing Murder Ball, and I just kept looking at that going, this doesn't really seem to fit with the whole she was a bounty hunter thing. Like, she becomes a bounty hunter in here. She becomes a hunter warrior in here for all like 5 minutes, and it pays off at the end. But I mean, it is like, okay, now we're at the part where she's a hunter warrior. We're just gonna forget all that. She gets into a fight at the bar, and that's pretty awesome. But now we're getting into this other part of the story in here, and that's way more awesome, and we're doing way other stuff over here. Oh, now we're going back to the hunter warrior thing. I was like, that's not the best balance in here. But I feel like if you could expand each of these into their own stories, like if, again, this was like the manga, and you got like your own book for every single one of these, that would probably be great. Every single one of these feel like a story arc. Maybe you should have just crammed every single one of them into one movie. That's what this feels like to me. It feels like people who are such big fans of the source material, and we see this all the time with adaptations. When people absolutely love the source material, and they just don't quite know, what to take out. Like, we saw with that World of Warcraft film, where they were just like, we don't need to explain any of this. It's like, the hell you don't. This film, it did at least explain stuff. I gotta give it that. Again, I have to come in here and say, even though they didn't give me enough to fully get invested in a lot of this stuff, they gave me enough that I could understand it. So that's why I didn't dislike any of this. I just couldn't really get too into it. Like, it was all just kind of neat. just really kind of interesting and fun. If somebody comes in here and tells me that it's great, that they really enjoyed it, I can totally see everything in here that someone would really enjoy. In fact, in all honesty, I can't really understand anybody flat out hating this. Unless, like, maybe you're a big fan of the source material and you're like, oh, they butchered this. And it's like, okay, well, that's a whole other matter in there. But just going into this cold, just judging it on its own, I can understand somebody not really enjoying it, but I can't understand someone hating this. I can understand people loving it. So I gotta give them that. I gotta say that. However, I will say, I've already seen people start putting this in the camp that I knew was going to get put into. As soon as I was watching this, I was like, there's going to be people who not only love this thing, they're going to hold this up, and the fact that it's being projected to not do well this weekend at the box office as their personal hill that they're going to die on of the, this is why we can't have good movies anymore, this is why we get the same crap over and over again, because you Philistines out there aren't willing to support the true art out there. I've already seen that argument going around. I already have, and man, again, as I said, if you come in here and say, man, I love that, great, awesome, I'm glad that you did, and I can totally see why you did. If you come in here and say, this is what true cinema is, and all those people out there who don't go and support this, you just want the same popcorn action crap over and over again, I'm gonna just slowly turn into the living embodiment of that Homer Simpson meme where I just fade into the green screen behind me. Yeah, man, I ain't getting there with you on that, and honestly, I think that your need to see just anything that remotely resembles anime on the big screen is kind of clouding your judgment a little bit. At least that's what it feels like from the people I've already seen making that argument online. I'm sure there's going to be other people out there who's like, I don't even watch anime. Actually, that might even be one of the reasons why somebody would make that argument, is that if you don't watch any anime, you might watch this and be like, what is this wonderful thing? Like Jack Skellington going into Christmas Land.
Honestly.
What's this? What's this? Giant eyes everywhere.
But honestly, that's pretty much what everyone like did with the Avatar.
Oh, you mean,
yeah, James Cameron's
I thought you meant, Last Airbender. I was like,
no. Because
not M. Night Shyamalan's. I mean, like the actual Last Airbender when it came on Nickelodeon. I was like, no. Even the big anime fans liked Last Airbender.
No, it's like you.
But yeah, when James Cameron's Avatar came out, yeah, there was a lot of people who was like, they had never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of like the big comic book and anime fans out there were like we've kind of already seen this stuff.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Faraway Lands, it's nice, it's on the big screen now. That's a cool thing out there.
Yeah, and apparently people were so depressed because the real world wasn't like the Avatar world.
I saw that, I was like, you got me.
Yeah, honestly, it's like you obviously haven't watched enough like cartoons or anime or played enough video games.
Yeah, again, I went through that phase, but I went through it when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew out of it, and it's so weird to see like adults who never treated themselves to like rich, deep sci-fi universes now feeling that over Avatar, and like, brother, you guys need to pick up a PlayStation at some point in time. You need to, you need to get yourself like a subscription to Crunchyroll, do something, because that is not worth getting depressed over. I will show you some Gurren Lagann that will blow your freaking mind. Yeah, I remember those days when I was like 12 years old and I was like, oh, why can't the world be like this? Dragon Ball. Yeah, no, now I've grown out of that. I can just appreciate things for what they are. Oh, that's a whole other argument to go into. Anything else I want to say about this thing?
Before you go into spoilers and...
Oh, yeah. Do I even really want to go into spoilers on this one? You haven't seen it.
No, all right. Well, at least the rating.
Yeah, I'll go into the rating. I'm going to give us like a 6.5. Like, it's, I can't quite get up to good. 7 to me is good.
It's like...
This one's like, no,
it's just a little bit above average.
It's like, averaged, pure flat out average is 5. 6 is, it's all right. So this is between, it's all right and good, to me. I do think it is actually worth seeing. In fact, if you don't have like a really big fancy TV, it's worth seeing in theater just to get the special effects in there. But if you got a really big, nice, fancy TV, you can just wait. It'll come out on Netflix at some time. You'll be fine. Netflix or Amazon Prime. But yeah, man, Again, this is why I hate movies like this. It really feels like I should have way more to say about this thing, but I don't. I think, the relationship, it was pretty good. Jennifer Connelly is in here, and she actually plays kind of an interesting character. Mustafa Ali is totally wasted. I'll say that for him. That guy's an amazing actor, and he's really just there because he looks cool. That's it. Yeah, they totally wasted that guy. I got nothing else in this. Oh, the lady who played Alita, she's actually really... What is she, Rachel McAdams? I think it's Rachel McAdams. She's good in here, too. Everybody in here is just like, they're pretty good. They're all right. They're fine. Yeah. That's all I got. Hope that was worth the wait, everybody. So yeah, we will be back later today with our review of Happy Death Day to You.
Yes,
which is actually a really great title. I gotta give him some credit on that one. That's a great title for a sequel. But we'll be back with that later, and we never actually reviewed the very first Happy Death Day, but we will be doing that on Patreon. So if you want to check out our Patreon, it's patreon.com/ProfessorAuthority. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back later today. Bye.
Bye.